Hi everybody, today we're going to read a realistic fiction story called Amazing Grace, and the author's name is Mary Hoffman. The illustrator's name is Caroline Binch. And a realistic fiction story just means that it's about something that could really happen, but the characters are made up or pretend. They're not real people. So before we read the story, there are a few words that I want to go over that we're going to see in the story that you might not be familiar with. The first word is companion. A companion is a friend. The next word is trusty. Someone or something that's trusty means that it's reliable. You can count on it. The next word is audition. So in the story, they're going to audition for a play. And to audition means to try out for, to see who is the best for the part. And the last one is not exactly a word, it's a phrase that we're going to hear. And the phrase is a big success. And when something is a big success, that means it goes very well. So today, as we're reading, we're going to listen closely to remember the important parts of the story. And remembering the important parts of the story will help us to figure out the central message or the lesson that the author wants us to learn from it. So that's what we're going to be listening for today as we read Amazing Grace. Grace was a girl who loved stories. She didn't mind if they were read to her or told to her or made up in her own head. She didn't care if they were in books or movies or out of Nana's long memory. Grace just loved stories. After she heard them, and sometimes while they were still going on, Grace would act them out, and she always gave herself the most exciting part. Grace went into battle as Joan of Arc and wove a wicked web as Anansi the spider. She hid inside the wooden horse at the gates of Troy. She went exploring for lost kingdoms. She sailed the 7 seas with a peg leg and a parrot. She was Hiawatha sitting by the shining big sea water, and Mowgli in the backyard jungle. Most of all, Grace loved to act out adventure stories and fairy tales. When there was no one else around, Grace played all the parts herself. She set out to seek her fortune with no companion but her trusty cat, and found a city with streets paved in gold. Or she was Aladdin, rubbing her magic lamp to make the genie appear. So now I can already tell some important parts at the beginning of the story. I know that Grace likes to use her imagination. She likes to act out stories, and she pretends to be everything from a pirate all the way to Aladdin. So that seems to be her favorite thing to do, is make believe. Sometimes she could get Ma and Nana to join in when they weren't too busy. Then she was Dr. Grace, and their lives were in her hands. One day, Grace's teacher said they would do the play Peter Pan. Grace knew who she wanted to be. She raised her hand. Raj said, "You can't be Peter. That's a boy's name." But Grace kept her hand up. "You can't be Peter Pan," whispered Natalie. "He isn't black." But Grace kept her hand up. "All right," said the teacher. "Lots of you want to be Peter Pan, so we'll have auditions next week to choose parts." She gave them the words to learn. So now, since I know that Grace loves to act out stories, it's no wonder that she wants to be Peter Pan in the school play. So what I'm wondering is, how do Grace's friends react when they find out that she wants to play Peter Pan in the play? When Grace got home, she seemed sad. "What's the matter?" asked Ma. "Raj said I can't be Peter Pan because I'm a girl." "That just shows what Raj knows," said Ma. "A girl can be Peter Pan if she wants to." Grace cheered up. Then later she remembered something else. "Natalie says I can't be Peter Pan because I'm black," she said. Ma looked angry, but before she could speak, Nana says, "It seems like Natalie is another one who doesn't know anything. You can be anything you want, Grace, if you put your mind to it." On Saturday, Nana told Grace they were going out. In the afternoon, they caught a bus and train into town. Nana took Grace to the Grand Theater. The sign outside read, "Rosalie Wilkins in Romeo and Juliet," in sparkling lights. Are we going to the ballet, Nana? Asked Grace. We are, honey, but first I want you to look at this picture. Grace looked up and saw a beautiful young ballerina in a tutu. Above the dancer it said, "Stunning new Juliet." That one is little Rosalie from back home in Trinidad, said Nana. Her granny and me, we grew up together on the island. She's always asking me, do I want tickets to see her Rosalie dance? So this time I said yes. So now I know that Grace's grandmother tells her that she can be anything if she puts her mind to it. So what I want to know from you is, why do you think Grace's grandmother takes her to see the ballet? After the ballet, Grace played the part of Juliet, dancing around her room in her imaginary tutu. I can be anything I want, she thought. On Monday, the class met for auditions to choose who was best for each part. When it was Grace's turn to be Peter, she knew exactly what to do and all the words to say. She had been Peter Pan all weekend. She took a deep breath and imagined herself flying. When it was time to vote, the class chose Raj to be Captain Hook and Natalie to be Wendy. There was no doubt who would be Peter Pan. Everyone voted for Grace. "You were fantastic," whispered Natalie. So now I'm wondering if you can tell me, why was Grace so amazing at playing the part of Peter Pan? The play was a big success, and Grace was an amazing Peter Pan. After it was all over, she said, "I feel as if I could fly all the way home." "You probably could," said Ma. "Yes," said Nana. "If Grace put her mind to it, she can do anything she wants." So now that was the end of the story. So can you tell me what lesson Grace learned at the end of the story? So today we remembered important parts of the story, and this helped us to figure out the central message or the lesson that the author wanted us to learn from the story. And I believe what the lesson was is that we can do anything we want if we put our minds to it. So next time you read a fiction story, see if you can recall the important events in order to determine the message that the author wanted you to get, or why the author wrote the story.